Okay, let's start. So in last class that we have discussed about the complex number and the form of a complex number that already I have discussed. So the complex number is always of the form of what? Z is equal to what? X plus IY, where this X is called what? Your the real part of a complex number, and this Y is called what? Your the imaginary part of a complex number. So, and both this X and Y are what? Real variables. So, and the value of I is nothing but that we know that I is equal to what? Root over -1. And you can say the modulus of Z, that is you can say that is R also, it is denoted by R also. The modulus of Z, that is denoted by what? Mod Z, and that is equal to what? Root over a square of the real part plus a square of the what? Imaginary part. So that is called what? Your modulus of a complex number, and it is denoted by mod of Z. And the argument of Z, that means the angle theta. This is your x-axis, this is y-axis, because the Z has two variables, x and y. So I have taken x-axis and y-axis, and I have plotted the point xy. Say this is the point P, whose coordinate is what? X and y. So if you go on changing the values of this x and y, the point will be changes. Okay. So suppose this is the point P, whose coordinate is what? XY. So this length is your what? This length is y, and this length is what? X. And so this is what your, this is nothing but you can say a right angle triangle. So this is hypotenuse. So this is equal to what? Hypotenuse equal to what? Root over x square plus y square. So this length is nothing but your what? Modulus. Modulus of what? Modulus of a complex number. This line, this R. This line is nothing but what? Your modulus of a Z complex number. And so obviously it will form an angle. So in anti-clockwise, always the angle should be measured in anti-clockwise. So say this is angle is theta. So theta is equal to what? This is nothing but tan inverse of what? That y upon x. Tan inverse of y upon x. So if you know the value of y, you know the value of x. So just you put, and then you calculate the angle. That means find tan inverse of what? So you'll get the argument of what? Argument of the complex number. Is that clear? Then also I have discussed how to convert a complex number. How to convert a complex number. If your complex number is this one, so this is in a Cartesian form. This is in what? This is in your Cartesian form. So how to convert it in terms of polar coordinate? So the transformation will be what? You need to substitute x is equal to r cos theta, and y is equal to what? You need to substitute r sin theta. This is the transformation you need to use whenever you need to, always whenever you need to convert a Cartesian equation into what? Into polar equation. Always this transformation is used. X is equal to what? R cos theta, and y is equal to r sin theta. So if you substitute these values x and y in terms of r and theta in this complex number, so this will become what? Z is equal to what? If you put x equal to r cos theta, so this is r cos theta plus I, y is your what? R sin theta. So here also r, here also r. So r will be common. So I'm taking r is common. So what will be? In bracket, it will be cos theta plus what? I sin theta. Plus I sin theta. And cos theta plus I sin theta, this is nothing but is equal to e to the power I theta. So this is the formula, you can say. This is the formula. E to the power I theta is equal to what? Cos theta plus I sin theta. So Z is equal to what? Your R into e to the power I theta. And what is R? Already I have described here. What is R? This R is nothing but is equal to what? This R is equal to what? Root over x square plus what? Y square. The value of R is what? Your root over x square plus y square. And theta is equal to what? Your, that is your tan inverse of what? Y upon x. So this is the what? This Z is equal to R e to the power I theta. This is the form of a complex number in terms of what? In terms of polar coordinate. Then come to the part that is your complex variable. Now this is the part. And also I have discussed, that is this part also I have discussed in the last class. So the conjugate, if Z is equal to what? Your say x plus iy, and its conjugate is taken by what? Just by changing the sign of what? I. So here it will be what? X minus I y. So if you add these two, so Z plus Z conjugate, Z plus Z conjugate is nothing but is equal to what? Twice x, I y will cancel out. So x is equal to what? Your Z plus Z conjugate upon 2. And this x is nothing but it is called what? It is nothing but it is called real part of a complex number. It is called what? Real part of a complex number. So that is denoted by what? Real of Z. RE for real of complex number what? Z. So real of Z is equal to what? The complex number plus its conjugate divided by what? 2. Similarly, if you need to calculate the imaginary part, y, so that is equal to what? If you subtract these two, so Z minus Z conjugate. So this is equal to what? Twice I y. And so y is equal to what? Z minus Z conjugate upon 2i. So y is equal to what? Y is nothing but it is, this y is nothing but what? That is your imaginary part of what? Imaginary part of Z. So this is denoted as what? I suffix m, that means imaginary of Z. Imaginary of a what? Complex number Z. So that is equal to what? Z minus Z conjugate upon 2i. Then again, one more thing just you need to know is 1 upon I. 1 upon I. What is the value? Can you tell me, anyone? What is the value of 1 upon I? Since as you know that I square, that is equal to how much? That is equal to minus 1.
Minus
1. What should I do here? I will multiply I in the numerator and denominator, both. So what you will get? I upon I square. Is it? So this I square is what? Minus 1. So this is what? Is equal to negative of what? I. So 1 upon I is nothing but is equal to what? Negative I. Is that clear? Similarly, if I'll say 1 upon I cube, can you tell me what is the value of 1 upon I cube? Can you tell me, anyone?
I.
Yeah.
I.
Yeah, good. This is I. Because this I cube you can write what? I square into what? Into I. So this I square is minus 1 and 1 upon I is what? Minus I. So negative into negative, that is positive, positive I. So 1 upon I. So in that way you can calculate these values. Okay. Now the next part is that is your complex variable. So obviously, if I will say variable, so variable, what do you mean by variable? What do you mean by variable? Variable means whose values changes, is it not? If I will say x is a variable, that means the value of x is not fixed. The value of x is what? Varying. You can give any values to x. Variable means whose values is what? Varying. That is called what? Your variable, whose value is not fixed. If I will say x is a constant, that means what? The value of x is what? Fixed. The value of x is what? Your fixed. So that is your constant. But here, if I will say variable, that means its value is what? Varying. So similarly, you'll get variable in Cartesian coordinate also, in what? In complex also. So as already you know that z is equal to x, always a complex number is always of the form what? X plus I y, where x is a real, y is also real, where x is called real part of a complex number and y is called imaginary part of a complex number. So always a complex number is of the form. Now see here if x and y are variables, if x and y are variable, that means the value of x and y are not fixed. The value of x and y are what? Changing. The value of x and y are what? Changing. So if you go on changing the value of x and y, so is the value of z will remain fixed or its value will also change? Huh? अरे बुझी पाए ऐसा ना? What I am saying? Z is equal to x plus iy. So this is so this is x, this is y. If I will say this x and y are both are variable, real values, these are variables. So if the value of these x and y are changing, so obviously the value of z will also change. That means for every value of x and y, you are going to get one complex number. So just go on changing the value of x and y. The value of you are going to get at every time, for each value of x and y, you are going to get a new complex number. So in Cartesian form, you already come to know that this y is equal to what? F of x. Y is equal to what? F of x. This is a function. Y is equal to what? F of x. Is it not? So here f is a function of x. So see, so here x is a variable, y also a variable. So here x is a variable. So just go on changing the values of x here. Say I'm taking one example. Say y is equal to say x square plus 1. X square plus 1 here. Say this is a function. Y is equal to x square plus 1. So here, just you go on changing the values of x. For every value of x, you are going to get a value of what? Y. So this is the notation we'll do in case of what? In case of Cartesian form. The same concept you can use in terms of what? In terms of complex also, complex number also. So here, just go on changing the values of x, you are going to get a value of y. For every value of x, you are going to get what? The one value of y for every value of x. Similarly, here, if z is a variable, so this can be written as what? W is equal to what? F of z. Simple. So here z is a variable, z is a complex number. So just go on changing the value of z, you are going to get what? So this W, so since this z is a complex number, so always this f of z will be a complex, always in the form of what? Complex, because this variable is itself a complex number. So if I will say W is equal to, I am writing say Z square plus 1, Z square plus 1. So let's see whether this W is in complex form or not. So now Z means what? X plus what? I y whole square. Z means what? X plus I y plus 1. Now if you break this A plus B whole square, so what you will get? If I will convert in terms of, so x square plus 2ab, that means 2ix y plus iy whole square. So iy whole square means what? I square into y square, and I square is what? Minus 1. So it will be what? Minus y square plus 1. This plus 1. So now write the real part together and the complex part together. So real parts are what? X square minus 1 square and this 1. So this x square minus y square plus 1 plus 1. Then plus I times of what? 2xy. Now see, this is the real part and this is the what? Imaginary part. So this w is what? Again in the form of what? In the form of what? Complex number. This is what? Again. So if I will say this is u plus I v, I can say it will be say v. So w is of the form u plus iv. So this is also in the form of what? Complex number. So if w is a functions of f functions of z, and where z is a complex number, so this w is also a what? Also a complex number. So here z is a variable. So just go on changing the value of z. You are every time you will get a different values of what? W. Corresponding to each value of z, you will get one value of w. Like this here. So here, just see here, just same example. So w is equal to z square, just z square plus 1 I have taken. So then see even. So this w, so now see here, this u. Now this u is a function of what? U is equal to what? X square minus y square plus 1. So this u is nothing but a functions of what? X and y. And here v is also a functions of what? V is also a functions of what? X and y. So that is, so w is equal to f of z, and that can be written in the form of what? U of xy plus I v of xy, where u is the real part of w and v is the what? Imaginary part of the w. That means of the complex number w. Is that clear? Variable to बुझे पैसा नहीं है. Okay, let's see the other part. So just already I told, to each value of z, there corresponds more than one value of w. Then w, so now see, sometimes you'll get what? Suppose w is equal to this one, say this one. W is equal to fz plus u plus iv. Sometimes, so now see, for each value of z, if you are going to get only one value of w, then this w is called single valued function. What is called? Single valued function. Single valued function means what? For every value of this z, you are going to get only one value of w. Then this is called what? Your single valued function. But for a value of z, if you are going to get more than one value of w, you will get that type of your situation where for one value of z, you will get more than one value of w. Then this function is called multi-valued function. This is called what? Your multi-valued function. So for each value of z, if there corresponds more than one values of w, then this w is called what? Multi-valued function of z. And for each value of z, there corresponds only one value of w, then this w is called what? Your single valued function. Now, next is your limit of a complex number. So this is similar to your definition of your, as you have got in class 12 also. So limit means what? Say limit x tends to a, f of x is equal to what? L. If you remember the limit part of class 12, if I'll say if limit x tends to a, f of x is equal to a, L, then what does it mean? Can you tell me, anyone? What does it mean?
Continuous.
What? Continue. I mean, more limit को ऐसो तुम्ही continuous को ऐसा. more continuous को खुदा नहीं ना. This is not the condition of continuity. Continuity will come later on. So what is the limit? What do you say this one? If limit x tends to a, f of x is equal to L, that means its left hand limit. That is what? Limit x tends to a negative f of x, that is equal to L, and its right hand limit x tends to what? A positive f of x. So both the left hand limit and right hand limit, if when x tends to what? 1, A, it's both left hand limit and right hand limit, both are is equal to what? L. Then only you can say that limit x tends to a, f of x is equal to what? L. That means the limiting value of the function f of x when x tends to a, that is equal to what? L. That means limit will exist. When limit will exist? If left hand limit and right hand limit must be same, then only limit of a function exists, otherwise not. If say left hand limit exists but right hand limit does not exist, if say limit left hand limit does not exist, right hand limit exists, and say both limit will exist, but if say left hand limit also exists and right hand limit also exists, but their values are not same, then in that condition also what? The limit of the function will not exist. So only one condition is there for existence of a limit. That is what? If the left hand limit of a function and right hand limit of a function, when x approaches to the particular point, will be what? Will be same. Then only you can say that limit of the function at that point will what? Exist. And the limiting value will be what? This one. Limiting value will be what? Limiting value will be this one. This is called limiting value. So this is the one definition that you have got in class 12. Now the other definition is what? The other definition is what? The other definition is what? This one. If suppose limit of f of x exists, then this absolute value of f of x minus L should be less than epsilon for all and limit is what? You are taking tends to a for all x minus a. X minus a should be less than delta, and that is your greater than 0, positive. So if this epsilon, this is a very, very small quantity. This is what? This epsilon is a very, very small quantity, but it is a positive quantity. Its value is like 0.0001, like this. So this epsilon is a very, very small quantity, but it's a positive quantity. Okay. So what? How will you say? A function f of z tends to a limit L. The same concept will apply in case of your what? Simply z, I have simply this x, replace it by z. X, replace it by z to a complex number. So the definition will come like this. A function f of z, if a function f of z tends to a limit L when z tends to z naught. So in place of a, I have taken z naught here. Okay. So when z tends to z naught, if suppose the limit of fz tends to what? Tends to L, then it says that to each positive value of y, epsilon, for every positive value of epsilon, however small, the word just you see the word however small. So just already I told you the value of this epsilon is a very, very small. That means it's a positive, but it's a very, very small number, like 0.001, like this. So it's a very small. So however small corresponds to a positive number delta. If there exists a positive number delta such that this condition is true. Modulus of mod of fz minus L should be less than epsilon whenever if this is true, but this condition is not true, then you can't say that the limit will exist, because this condition, left hand limit exists, right hand limit exists. If both are not equal, so limit will not exist. So here also same thing. If this condition is true, but this condition is not true, then you can't say that the limit will exist. So limit will only exist if this condition together with this condition will also exist. Then only you can say that the limit of a function will exist. Now, same thing is about the continuity. As you know, the continuity part. So, what? Limit x tends to, say, a, f of x is equal to what? Is equal to what? F of a. So, if the limiting value of the function is equal to what? Is equal to the functional value. That means you have a function f of x. If you have a function f of x and you are going to check its continuity at the point what? X is equal to a. You have a function fx and you are checking its continuity at the point x is equal to a. So how will you check the continuity? First you find its limit. First you find its limit when x tends to a. When x tends to a. Suppose its limit is equal to what? You have got L. So this is your limiting value of the function when x approaches to a. Then you find its functional value. That means in the function f of x, in place of x, you put a. If you put A, so obviously you will get some value. So if this value is also L, that means if limiting value and the functional value, if both are same, then you can say that what? This function f of x is what? Continuous at the point what? X is equal to A. Otherwise not. If limiting value is not equal to what? Functional value, then the you can't say that the function is continuous at the point x equal to A. In that case, the function is what? Discontinuous at the point x is equal to A. Is that clear? So this is the continuity part. So same concept, if you use in other way, so it will be like this. The same. The same thing about, already I told you, you have a function in terms of complex number, you have a function f of z, and you need to check the continuity at the point z is equal to z0. So what? Simply you find the limiting value of fz at the point z is equal to z0, and then you find its functional value at the point z is equal to z0. If these two value, functional and limiting value, both are same, then you can say that the function is what? Continuous at the given point. Simple. Is that clear to all of you?
Yes, sir.
Now next is your derivative. Now derivative. So already you know that if y is equal to f of x is a function, and if you need to find dy by dx, if you need to find dy by dx, so what is the definition? That is limit first principle of derivative. If you remember, f of x plus del x minus f of x by what? Del x. মনত পৰিছে নে নাই? হ্যাঁ?
Yes, sir.
Class 12 পাইছা? সেইটো sir. So if y is equal to f of x is a function, if you need to find its derivative, so by using first principle of derivative, so dy by dx equal to what? Limit del x tends to 0, f of x plus del x minus f of x by del x. So if this limit exists, then you can say that what? Derivative of the function y with respect to x, what? Exists. The same concept, you transfer it to what? In terms of complex. Simply. So here x is a what? Real variable. Here x is a what? Your real variable. So just you change it by a complex variable. So I am changing. So if you change this x by complex variable, so obviously this will also change by a complex. So say w is equal to what? Fz. W is equal to what? Fz. So now, if you want to check whether the derivative of w exists or not, the same concept. So what we'll do? dw by dz, and that also denoted by f dash of z. So if, same thing, you have changed it. Okay. So yeah. So same thing here, dw by dz is equal to what? F dash z equal to what? Limit del z tends to 0, f of z plus del z minus fz by what? Del z. So if this limit will exist, unmute yourself, mute kora, কোনবা unmute kora gisa, mute kora. Mute everyone. So dw by dz equal to what? F dash z is equal to limit del z tends to 0, f of z plus del z minus fz by del z. So if this limit will exist, then you can say that what? Derivative of the function w with respect to z will what? Exist. So this is the derivative part. That's just simple definition. Now next is your analytic function. When a function is said to be analytic, try to understand. So what is analytic function? A single valued function fz. What is that one? A single valued function fz poses a unique derivative at every point of a region R. That means suppose you have a region R, suppose this is a region R where a function f of z is defined. So if the derivative of this function f of z exists at each and every point of the region R. At what? At each and every point of the region R. Not even a single point you will get within the region R where the value where the derivative of the function fz will not exist. So if your function, and that should be a single valued function, not multi-valued function. A single valued function f of z is said to be analytic. If a single valued function fz is said to be analytic in a region R if its derivative exists at each and every point of the region R. Then you can say that what? The function fz is what? Analytic over this region R. So again, I'm telling what is the analytic function? A single valued function fz is said to be analytic over a region R if the derivative of fz will exist at each and every point of the region R. Then the function what? Fz is said to be what? Analytic over the region R, or sometimes it is also called regular function, or sometimes it is also called holomorphic function. Either you say analytic function, or you say regular function, or you say holomorphic function. The meaning is same. So for analytic, or for regular function, or for holomorphic function, the condition is what? You won't get even a single point in the region R where the derivative of the function fz does not exist. If you got a single point where in this region, if you got a single point or multiple point, but if you got one point in the region R where the derivative of the function fz does not exist, then in that case, you can't say that this fz is what? Analytic over the region R. So for analytic condition, the derivative of this fz must be continuous at each and every point of this region R. So then if that condition is valid, then you can say that this fz is what? Your analytic function, or regular function, or holomorphic function. So you may get a situation where the function may not be analytic. That means what? You will get some point where the derivative of the function does not exist. It is not necessary that at every point the function fz will at every point the derivative of fz will exist. Maybe you will get some point. I'm not saying that fz is analytic. I'm not saying. I don't know whether fz is analytic or not. So for to check it, what we need to check its continuity. Now we need to check in what region the function fz is defined. So suppose in this region R, this fz is defined. So to check its continuity, what you need to do? We need to check its continuity at each and every point of this region R. If you get that at each and every point the derivative of this fz exists, then you can say that fz is what? Analytic function. But if you find some point where the derivative of the function fz does not exist, then in that case, what? Fz, what will say fz? Fz is what? Not analytic in the region R. Fz is what? Not analytic. And the point where you got that the function is not analytic, that point is called what? Your that point is called your what? Singular point. That point is called what? Your singular point. So the point where the function ceases means the function is not analytic. The function ceases to be analytic is called what? Your singular point. And it means the point where the derivative of the function does not exist. That point is called what? Your singular point. Okay. Say for example, I am taking here. Say I am taking fz is equal to 1 upon z. Okay, tell me. Qua? At the point z is equal to 0. At the point z is equal to 0, whether the derivative of this function will exist or not. Can you tell me, anyone? At the point z is equal to 0, whether the derivative of this function fz will exist or not. Igman homa lage na first year derivative to lua f dash z. What is the derivative of fz? First derivative kiman hobo yaar? fz to diya hai 1 by z. So 1 by z or derivative kiman hobo? What will the derivative of
minus
1 by
1 by z square?
Yeah, minus 1 upon z square.
That's
Now we need to check this point, whether derivative of this fz exists or not. So simply you put in place of z equal to 0. So that is what? F dash of 0. So f dash 0 equal to how much? Minus 1 upon 0 square. So 0 square is 0. So minus 1 upon 0, how much? Huh? Minus 1 upon 0, how much?
not defined.
Not defined means what? That is infinity. Array, anything by 0, that is infinity, no? You can't divide any number by 0, no? So that is what? Infinity. So what? Is it a fixed value? Is it a fixed value? Obviously not. That means what? What you are going to get? The derivative of the function at the point z is equal to 0 is what? Does not exist. And so you can't, you can say that what? This fz is what? Not analytic at this point z. not analytic at this point z. But this function is what? Analytic everywhere. Whatever be the value of z you will take, except this value of z is equal to 0. Except this value of z is equal to 0. You take any value of z, the derivative will exist. Okay? You take any value of z, except z, this z is equal to 0. The derivative of this function will exist. But except z is equal to 0 only. At z equal to 0, the derivative of this function does not exist. And so you can say that what? You can say that this fz is analytic everywhere except at z is equal to 0. So you are getting that the function is what? Not analytic at the point z is equal to 0. That means what? Z is equal to 0 is a what? Is a singular point. Z equal to 0 is what? Is a singular point. Is that clear? বুঝি পাইছেন না নাই?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
So here already, what is the analytic function already I have discussed. The definition is given here. The definition for মনত রাখিবা. Just to remember this definition, because this may come in your exam also. What is your analytic function? What is your holomorphic function? So this. So from next class that I will discuss this part, Cauchy-Riemann equation. And this is also called the necessary condition for fz to be analytic. Now see why it is required. Why it is required? If I am taking some region here, some region R is there. Now I need to check whether this fz is analytic in this region R or not. So this region R has a fixed value, fixed number of values, or it has infinite number of values. Can you tell me, anyone? This region R has a fixed number of numbers, or it has infinite number of numbers? In this region, whether you have fixed number of numbers or you have if you have infinite number of numbers. Obviously, you have infinite number of value of z here, you'll get. So if I'll say check the condition for analytic, whether fz is analytic in this region or not. So what was the condition for analytic of a function? The derivative of the function must exist at each and every point in the region R, at each and every point. So there are infinite number of points here. There are infinite number of points. So is it possible for you to check at each and every point the derivative of this function? Obviously not. It's not possible to check the derivative of this function at each and every point of the region R. Then how to check whether the function is analytic or not? And that will come here. So this condition, that is the necessary condition for fz to be analytic, and that is that you can check by that is called Cauchy-Riemann equation. That is called by what? Cauchy-Riemann equation. Using that equation, you will be able to what? You will be able to check whether the given function is analytic or not in a given particular region. So this equation will help you to check whether the given function is analytic or not. So we'll discuss in the next class. Okay. So I have recorded both the sessions here, and I will upload in my YouTube link, and already the link already I have provided